Hi, and welcome to NBA TV Basketballography. I'm Ron Burke. Today we feature the man regarded by many as the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan. His achievements on the court were impressive enough. 10 scoring titles, 5 MVP awards, 6 NBA championships, and countless incredible highlights. But numbers alone don't begin to measure Michael Jordan's legacy. More than anyone, he turned the NBA into a global attraction and became one of the world's most famous athletes. Over the past 2 decades, the flight of Air Jordan has been a memorable ride.
Jordan, 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 Jordan.
From North Carolina, at guard, 6'6", Michael Jordan. Look at the air, look at the hang time, look at the flying motion. It's showtime, get the cameras rolling.
He kept it in bounds, here it is again. Oh!
Here's Michael at the foul line, a shot on Elo, good! The Bulls win!
Whose game is it? It's Michael Jordan's game.
He grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, and from the beginning there was something distinctive about Michael Jordan.
He came in this world eating. I mean, he loved to eat. And I tell you, we could not feed him enough. We had the doctor put him on cereal, I guess, when he was 2 weeks old because his milk was just not enough.
Michael's first taste of the game of basketball came in pickup games against his older brother, Larry, which ignited his competitive fire.
We used to play an awful lot. You know, we would play every day. And I always normally beat him.
He really helped me create some determination in myself to beat him. If I could beat him, I felt I could beat anybody.
He has been raised to compete, and then he began to realize how good he was.
But while Michael may have realized it, the basketball coach at Laney High School wasn't quite as impressed with his skills.
I'm the coach who cut Michael as a sophomore. He was still growing. He was a good ball player, but we didn't think he was good enough yet to really make the contribution on the varsity that we felt we needed.
You know, Michael played JV, and by the end of the year, he was averaging, 30 points for JV, and the varsity coach looked at him and said, I kind of made a mistake here,
Improving by leaps and bounds, Michael not only made the team the following year, he played well enough to earn a scholarship to the University of North Carolina. Legendary coach Dean Smith chose him to start as a freshman. And against Georgetown in the 1982 National Championship game, Jordan would enter the spotlight with one dramatic shot.
The tie, 18. Shot, Jordan, Michael Jordan.
The shot gave North Carolina the national title and marked a turning point in Michael's career. He now had a new air of confidence to go along with his talent, and he quickly soared to national prominence. Jordan was twice named College Player of the Year, and he was chosen to play for the U.S. Olympic team that captured the gold medal in 1984. After his junior season, Michael took the next step in his blossoming career as he turned pro.
The Chicago Bulls pick Michael Jordan of the University of North Carolina.
As the third pick, Michael was expected to make an impact, but he went above and beyond anyone's expectations.
Jordan to the floor, let's watch Jordan. Oh, give him a chance. Jordan to the hoop. Oh!
I think the first year he came into the league, I think he was the best individual player in the league. I think if you picked one guy in a playground game, you wouldn't have picked Magic or Larry. You would have picked Michael Jordan right then.
With moves never seen before, Air Jordan electrified fans throughout the NBA and capped off his season with the league's Rookie of the Year award. But the next year, his rise to stardom came to a crashing halt. Early in the '86 season, Jordan went down with a foot injury, yet he refused to stay down.
Michael had sat out most of that season. He broke his foot, and it was kind of a clean break, so it wasn't the kind of thing that he needed a lot of rehab on. And in fact, he was back playing basketball in January in North Carolina, even though the Bulls told him not to. But he was just a determined competitor.
Even though some had expected him to miss the rest of the season, Jordan was back in Chicago's lineup by March, and he showed he was just as explosive as ever, helping the Bulls reach the playoffs as the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. they would travel to hallowed Boston Garden to face the Celtics with their championship mystique and legendary players like Larry Bird. But in Game 2, a new legend was born.
Jordan trying to fake Bird. Hits the jumper.
Taking the tempo away from the Celtics, trying to Michael Jordan right now.
What a great shot, and a basket and a foul.
Michael on the drive across the lane, turnaround shot, got it! 63 for Jordan. A new NBA record has been set in the Boston Garden.
That night, I think Bird said that wasn't a basketball player. That was God dressed up as Michael Jordan.
I mean, it was an astounding individual accomplishment, but I think continued more to establish him as an individual player who can't win. The Bulls were swept in that series.
For all his brilliance, Jordan couldn't lift the Bulls to success in the playoffs. And there were some who questioned whether he could ever lead a team to a championship. Michael was determined to prove them wrong. By the end of the 1980s, Michael Jordan had earned the label of superstar, but not the label he wanted most, NBA champion.
I remember reading all the time in national publications that this guy's never going to win a title because he's a selfish player, he's an individual player, he can't shoot, he doesn't have shooting range. There's a lot of negatives about Michael Jordan back then.
Standing in the way of Jordan and the Bulls were their arch rivals, the Detroit Pistons, who defeated them 3 straight times in the playoffs.
Each and every game that we played against Detroit, we considered a war.
It's impossible, in retrospect, to overestimate the antipathy that existed between the Bulls and Pistons. I mean, Jordan just didn't like them.
Chicago Bulls continue to frustrate themselves and their fans.
They were pounding the Bulls in those days, and Michael was tired of the pounding.
Facing their tormentors once again in the 1991 Conference Finals, the Bulls finally swept the Pistons away.
McGuire baseline right, doubled up, had it chopped away, turned right ahead to Jordan. Michael on the drive, in on Vinnie Johnson, all the way to the hoop and lays it in. There's panic all over the Pistons' faces. The Chicago Bulls advance to the NBA championship round.
Awaiting Michael and the Bulls were Magic Johnson and the Lakers in a much-anticipated finals matchup. But Chicago would soar past L.A. to claim the championship, and the torch of NBA supremacy was passed from Johnson to Jordan.
The look away to Livingston. Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Jordan always wanted to chase the best guy, the one he thought was the best of all. That's the one he wanted to be better than. And he identified Johnson as the best in the league, so he was going to do more than Johnson.
And the Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship.
Michael cried like a baby, hugging that trophy. It was confirmation for him. It was the mountaintop.
1992, another showdown of superstars as Jordan faced Clyde Drexler and the Trailblazers, and Michael led the Bulls to another title.
He is hot! Woo! See, this is what Michael lived for. He wanted this challenge.
Here's Jordan for 3. Yes!
Whose game is it? It's Michael Jordan's game.
To do it twice showed that gave us validity as an organization and gave us motivation that now we have an opportunity to do something that Magic Johnson didn't do, Larry Bird didn't do, and no other team has done it in some time.
That summer, Michael's global popularity would reach astounding new heights as a member of the fabled Dream Team.
He captivated the world with his ability, with his personality. They loved him. It was a phenomenon.
This is our chance to exploit the game that we've kind of perfected, and it was fun.
At the Barcelona Games, Jordan won his 2nd Olympic gold medal, and then began the grueling quest for a 3rd straight NBA championship.
We were on top, and the toughest part was trying to stay on top. And it was a burden. It was a burden that weighed on us all season long.
To Pippen, 3-on-2 to Jordan, and a foul. Yes,
As Jordan and the Bulls continued to dominate, the 93 season seemed just like the previous 2. But for Michael, something was clearly missing: his joy and passion for the game of basketball.
started to lose the different challenges to push myself, you know, because I've accomplished so much. And it became very boring to me at that time.
Meeting his friend Charles Barkley in the NBA Finals would give Jordan a new challenge.
Michael just put a rope in his mouth and just dragged this team across the finish line.
Hey, you do win the final. Let's go. Keep your head. Everybody here together.
10 seconds to go on the shot clock. 15 in the ball game. Michael will take it. He's fouled. He scores.
Superman's back in the building.
55 for MJ.
I never said we had to stop him. We can't stop him. Nobody can stop him.
43 seconds to go on the game.
They were down by 20. Here's Jordan extending. Michael Jordan driving the lane. The Bulls win the championship.
For the third year, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls have climbed the Mount Olympus of the NBA.
But even as he celebrated his greatest triumph, Michael was already starting to contemplate his future.
I've met every challenge that I could on the basketball court, and something was pulling me to try to find out what else is in store for Michael Jordan. I felt this could be a good opportunity, you know, for me to step away and go do other things.
For weeks, Michael went through the anguish of pondering his decision, but that would pale in comparison to the pain he was about to face.
Last night, we began the show with the disappearance of Michael Jordan's father. Tonight, the worst fears have come true. James Jordan was found dead, the victim of an apparent murder.
It was a very difficult moment for me. Somehow, I just kept my head high, and I thought about all the things that he used to tell me. Just turn a negative into a positive. It was tough.
He couldn't find the heart for the game anymore. And that's when he shocked us and announced his retirement.
When I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball. When I got up away from that table, I could do anything that I choose to do. And I never thought I'd come back to the game of basketball. I never thought I would have that feeling to come back to the game of basketball.
After retiring from the Bulls in 1993, Michael Jordan fulfilled a promise he had made to his father. He would spend the next 18 months playing minor league baseball, returning to a sport he had played as a youngster.
The idea to him that he was going to start at something down here where he wasn't very good and see if he could get it up to here, that really appealed to his competitive nature.
Despite moments of success, Michael was never able to excel on the baseball field, but he still came away with a feeling of satisfaction.
I think what baseball did for me was it gave me an opportunity to revisit all those moments that I had with my father. And so it was a therapeutic experience for me, and I needed it.
But by March of 1995, Jordan was drawn once again to the game he loved best, and rumors of a comeback began to sweep the country.
The economy has produced 6.1 million jobs since I became president. And if Michael Jordan goes back to the Bulls, it'll be 6,100,001 new jobs.
What drove me back to the game was I truly loved the game. I missed what the game, you know, what kind of moods it put me in, you know, the enjoyment that it gave me once I was in 94 feet, you know, arena.
Today, Michael Jordan at age 32 tries to accomplish what no one else truly has in team sports history.
Michael's return to the NBA sparked a frenzy of attention everywhere he went, and the performances he delivered were vintage Jordan.
Michael Jordan. Jordan for the win. Yes! He did it again! He is now back!
But Jordan's triumphant comeback tour was derailed in the playoffs by the young Orlando Magic, and his air of invincibility had disappeared.
You know, I had doubts that maybe I can't play the same type of game that I used to play because I wasn't able to do it on call. So in sitting in that locker room very disappointed, I made a promise to myself that come next year, I'm going to be ready for this game.
After a summer of rededicating himself to the game, Jordan was ready for the '96 season.
he was on a quest not just to win the title, but to recapture his place as the game's best player.
Jordan going and throws it up. He puts it in on an amazing move.
He would lead the Bulls to an NBA record 72 wins before punctuating his comeback with a victory over Seattle in the finals, the 4th title in 6 years.
Jordan rules. After a 2-year absence, the Chicago Bulls have regained the NBA throne.
Michael, I know that the first one was sweet, but how much sweeter was this one? Well, you know, I can't even put it in words. My father said what it means to me. I know he's watching. This is for Daddy.
In the 1997 finals, Chicago faced Utah, and Michael would provide more of his trademark heroics. In Game 5, Jordan had to battle not just the Jazz, but also a stomach virus. Yet he still carried the Bulls through sheer force of will.
Open three, yes! They lead it, 38 points for the Kings. Stuck a dagger at him with a three, yes!
Jordan felt that he could and should perform under any circumstance. And it was one of the challenges. Will you make it harder on me?
The Bulls went on to capture their 5th championship of the decade. The next season would bring a finals rematch against Utah and another memorable Jordan moment. With Chicago trailing in the closing seconds of Game 6, Michael would add one more stirring chapter to his legend.
Stockton inside of Carbonell, they double it. Jordan knocks it away from him. Jordan's got it. The Bulls can win it right here. The Bulls can win it.
Everybody in the house knows what's going to happen.
Michael against Russell, 12 seconds. 11, 10, Jordan a drive, hangs, fires, scores! He scores! The Bulls lead 87-86.
He posed. He held his hand up in the air. He waved goodbye. Michael was saying goodbye to the NBA and goodbye to the sporting world.
The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship in the last 8 years.
That was the storybook ending. That was the quintessential Saranara Arrivederci Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. What a beautiful.
I am here to announce my retirement from the game of basketball.
For the 2nd time in his career, Michael Jordan caps a championship three-peat with retirement.
This is a perfect time for me to walk away from the game. Right now, I don't have the mental challenges that I've had in the past. I chose to walk away knowing that I can still play the game.
After retiring as a player, Michael Jordan assumed the role of executive, becoming part owner of the Washington Wizards in 2000. He was closely associated with the game, but it soon became apparent that he yearned to be back on the floor.
I mean, I felt like I left something on the court when I left in '98. I wasn't ready to go. I still wanted to play. It's an itch that still needs to be scratched here. And I want to make sure this scratch doesn't bother me for the rest of my life.
From the moment he put on a Wizards uniform, he proved he could perform like the Jordan of old.
Jordan with the step. Jordan puts it down. And we're beginning to see a familiar scene here. Michael Jordan has the crowd on its feet.
I just see in his eye the look of a man who's so excited to be back out on the floor again.
And just like his early years in Chicago, Michael would try to lead a young Wizards team to respectability.
Michael Jordan has taken over, and his team responds to his leadership.
Christian should be working the middle. You should be working the middle. You working the baseline. The other two guys are going to be loading up the side.
My heart, my energy, my love for the game is as strong as ever. And it's going to push my body to my body say it can't go any further.
His passion for the game, the way he loved the game, is just exciting to watch.
Jordan with 4 seconds. Fakes, shoots. Oh!
He's helping us to redefine age. He's doing some things at age 40 that only a 40-year-old Michael Jordan can do.
At his final All-Star game in 2003, Jordan became the leading scorer in All-Star history.
The fadeaway, yes! With 4 and 8/10 seconds remaining.
But Michael hoped his greatest legacy would be the guidance he's provided to the game's young stars.
No. Whoever Shaq's man's guarding, whoever Shaq is guarding, that's the screen, that's the pick and roll guy.
I'm trying to improve the game of basketball. That's my job to the game, is to pass on things to help players improve as individuals. That's an obligation I have to the game.
I leave the game in good hands. So many great stars still in the game, so many great stars rising and playing the game. Now I can go home and feel at peace with the game of basketball. Thank you very much.
What Jordan has meant to the NBA, it must be incalculable. The joy that Jordan has brought, you know, and the way he spread the game.
He's brought a level of excitement that, you know, maybe is unparalleled. It's stuff that, you know, legends are made of.
You look in his face and you see somebody that you feel comfortable with and you like.
I never got the impression that he threw his shoes out or sent his uniform out there and took the night off. He's determined to be Michael Jordan every night.
Oh, did you see Jordan? Spectacular play.
With that ability to do remarkable things, he expanded the universe of people who cared about basketball.
For Jordan, the journey that began in North Carolina and reached its high point in Chicago would come to an end in Washington. He ran the Wizards as team president before joining them on the court. And while there were some who doubted him, Michael proved he could still light up the scoreboards. In fact, one of his final accomplishments was becoming the first NBA player over age 40 to reach 40 points in a game. Even in the twilight of his career, nothing ever seemed impossible to Michael Jordan. Thanks for joining us on NBA TV Basketballography. I'm Ron Burke.